Right about now, you are listening to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, a show where we discuss living as a leader worth following, leading others to do the same, and in doing so, leaving a legacy for future generations. My name is Jimmie Gonzalez Jr., a learning and development professional and leadership coach, sitting down with my co-host, Anthony Devon Watts Jr., an expert contact center leader that has effectively led and developed dynamic teams with high motivation. Together, we have over 30 years experience in the corporate game. Join us as we discuss our growth as leaders, share the lessons we've learned, and interview others to see how their leadership style was shaped as they were mentored by adversity.
Legacy Leader Community. What's up, y'all? Good evening. It is Saturday evening. Yeah, it's a little after 8 o'clock. And we are here live coming at you just to do a recap of week one and this focus challenge that we've been doing. And again, just to pop on here and see how everybody has been doing. If you're able to get on here while we're doing this live chat, definitely show us some love, give us some feedback, let us know how you're doing. If not, regardless, Devon and I are about to chop it up and just talk about how the week has gone for the two of us. But a couple of reminders, for those that, because we know that we've had some people that have actually joined the community over the last couple of days. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the community. We are super excited to have you here. So we want to give a recap for, again, some of the new folks that have joined the community over the last couple of days and let you know that it's not too late. There's going to be an opportunity for you to jump in today, tomorrow, and to get going with this 21-day challenge. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is not a 5-day, 3-day, 7-day challenge. This is a 21-day challenge. So it is going to take some effort and some intentionality and some perseverance to get through. But I'm confident that once completed, all of us, again, will, I think, just be very happy and proud of what we've accomplished. But more importantly, the whole premise of this challenge is to really increase the level of focus that we all have in some key specific areas. So anyway, yes, again, welcome to new folks. We're going to run down this past week and how the challenge has been going for the two of us. But also want to just remind everybody quickly that episode 1 or conversation 1 and conversation 2 of our Green Room series has dropped as well. You guys got the first taste of the first conversation, Green Room conversation number 1. The second one dropped the other day. The video was just released earlier today. So definitely, and we're kind of excited to see, people's reaction to that. Again, these are conversations that we had that were recorded, but weren't necessarily on the podcast itself. So some interesting takes in there along the way and some things to laugh at as well. So again, we hope that you guys enjoy that and looking forward to getting some feedback on those episodes as well. But Devon, day one of the challenge, that one was fairly easy in the sense of the fact that, it was some effort to write. And like you said, maybe your hand got tired a little bit after going through it, but there wasn't a lot of necessarily thought that had to go into day one. It was all about the kind of the mantra. How did that go for you?
Yeah, so I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a good place to start just because for those who didn't get a chance to attend our initial focus webinar where we talked about what does it take in order to, kind of hone your focus from a mental perspective, from an environment perspective, from a body and a diet perspective. I love that this first activity kind of immediately picked up on the power visualization and kind of the mantras that we tell ourselves. And just going through that exercise of writing it down multiple times, having to say it, right, so that you are putting yourself in the right headspace to combat negative thoughts. I thought was awesome. Actually, a couple of our legacy leader participants even shared some best practices that they had done for themselves, where they just wrote it one time, but they actually put it up in their workspace so that throughout the day they can consistently kind of reference it and use it as a reminder to anchor themselves to some more positive thoughts, which I thought was awesome, especially because the timing of us, I mean, you know how the universe works, man. The timing of us like launching this focus challenge just happened to coincide with the busiest part of, work, like the busiest part of the year for my job specifically. And then we just had like a whole storm of just like challenges and system issues and things like that came up that we had to navigate, that required extreme focus. Mm-hmm. Right. And the need to combat some of the negative thoughts that come about when you're dealing with like adversity like that. And so the first challenge was very, very timely, man. So like I said, outside the hand cramp, I was in good shape. What about you, man? How'd it go?
No, it was good. I released all that negative energy from my mind and my body. Yeah. And I command my subconscious mind to make sure that I have that laser-like focus on everything that I do. So I still have to work on, every night. I did it consistently for a few nights, but every night before I go to bed, just again, saying that over and over to myself. But that was cool. There's also power in note-taking and writing things down, right? So, we learn a lot of different ways. So obviously saying it, shout out to Angie. She's the one who actually had it posted up in front of her while she was working throughout the day. But just going through that process of actually writing it down and saying it to myself as I'm writing it down, and making sure I wrote it correctly, that also helped along the way too. So if anybody is watching this video, if you're watching live, let us know that you're here live. If you're watching the replay, so if you're watching live, put a 1 in the comment. If you are watching the replay, put a 2 in the comments. All right. 1 for live, 2 for replay. But for our folks that have just joined the community this week, if you're looking to jump on into the challenge, that was day 1, was writing out this mantra 25 times. And just to let you guys know, any posts that we make that specifically have to do with the challenge, they are tagged with focus challenge. So you can just go to the search bar at the top of the group, put focus, and you'll see every post that is specific to this challenge. So just a little tip for folks out there as well. So yeah, that was day 1. And then day 2, again, still not too difficult. Well, actually, yeah, this one could have been a little bit challenging too. Day 2 was making sure that you had a notebook, right? That said 21-day challenge at the top. And then the goal was to actually take a task, or if you could do it throughout the day, but really try to see, all right, for an hour, 2 hours, whatever this task was, how many times did I get interrupted throughout that task or throughout the day? And the goal was to write that down, write the number of times, and then circle it so that okay, within this task or within the day, I got interrupted and I lost my focus 6 times. And then that's kind of the benchmark, right? So then tomorrow, how can I lessen or lower the amount of times that I actually lose focus and get distracted, excuse me. So that one went pretty well. I did not write it down. I use an app that we talked about in the webinar as well, in our Focus for Success webinar, which is called the Engross app. That one was really cool for me because it allowed me to set the timer. So I was doing my work burst of 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break. And as I'm going through those 25 minutes of just straight work, if for any reason I got distracted, then I can just hit the app real quick and boom, it'll tally that up. And then at the end of the day, I can see all of the work bursts that I did and the amount of times that I was distracted throughout the day. So again, use technology. If you'd like, it's definitely made it easier for me. So again, that's the Engross app that you can get on the Google Play Store. So day 2, I think, was good for me. Again, able to see the spots that, again, I lost focus and why, and then, was able to make some adjustments throughout the day and then even on the next day.
Yeah, the app definitely makes it a lot easier to be able to just kind of manage and keep yourself organized. I mean, I'm not necessarily a person that uses an abundance of paper anyway, right? So being able to leverage technology is definitely a come up. For me, I mean, I kind of, I already shared like kind of the timing of everything. So I knew going into it, I was like, yeah, all the stuff I got going on with some of this like stakeholder management and working with like, I got partners over in our healthcare business and merchandising that like they're in a tizzy right now. So that means like constantly I'm getting pinged and asked questions and asked to provide data and analysis and my input and all this other good stuff. So I knew that it was going to be challenging for me to have uninterrupted time. Right. But I think the thing that was helpful, though, was me understanding a couple of things. One, which is how can I mitigate as many interruptions as possible, right? Because I can't necessarily control my stakeholders, but there are things that I can control in terms of, just kind of, my team, my direct reports, my one overs around expectation setting. And then the other thing that kind of came out of it was after, about a day or two of the constant interruptions with the stakeholders, then I really started to challenge myself on my stakeholder management process and just like, okay, is there something I can do and push to maybe some other people that can give them a synopsis of their most common questions to mitigate them having to ping me throughout the day or reach out to me throughout the day? Like, can I help them self-serve some of these answers? You know what I mean? Operation, leave me alone. Right. So I can focus. And so that actually was helpful. So what ended up coming of that, I ended up putting together a template, working with some individuals, working with a couple of leaders and put together a template and then push down so that now I have a regular cadence of somebody providing these intraday updates, which is greatly reduced the number of interruptions. It's not at zero yet. It's definitely not at zero yet, but it's substantially reduced it. Like in one work burst, I probably had maybe about, I think the highest count I had was like about 11 interruptions, like in a 25-minute work burst. Right. And it's probably a combination. I think it was like 3-4 people, you know what I mean? So a couple, WebEx here and an email here and a WebEx here. And then it's like, oh, okay. Right. But after I put in that process for, kind of those regular intraday updates, it got to, I was averaging maybe around like 2 interruptions during work bursts, which is, again, not perfect, but definitely a huge improvement. So.
Yeah. And I've told you, and just in other conversations that we had, that's one of the things that I'm still trying to get acclimated to. So when I had ultimate success is when I turned my phone off. So I had the phone on airplane mode. And if I got distracted, it's because I allowed myself to lose focus. But turning off, making sure my personal computer is off, making sure that the phone was on airplane mode, again, really allowed me to have that laser-like focus for those work bursts. I actually felt really tired that day. I don't know, because I was even that much more focused and just like putting in work and getting work done. So mentally, at the end of the day, I felt a little bit more tired than I was the previous day, which I thought was interesting too. But with the type of work that I'm doing right now, I don't have a team. I don't have, again, kind of those constant interruptions that we may have when you have a team, kind of that call center life. It does make it a little bit easier for me to, again, to just focus. So I'm really, which is, I think, one of the main reasons why we're doing this, right? Because it's how do you lead yourself and how do I make sure that I can increase my level of focus? So any battles that I'm having, they're battles with myself and making sure that I'm doing what I need to do to stay on point with the work I need to get done. So again, we don't have any connection to Ingross app, but I will plug it one more time just because it really is a good app to utilize. Because like the Pomodoro technique and that app that you can find online as well, not only does it allow you to time and create the work burst, but again, you can just quickly just hit it and keep track of how many interruptions or how many times you lost focus. So that was day number 2, y'all. Day number 3, and I put this in the post, this is really when kind of the rubber started to meet the road a little bit. And the task for day number 3 was to basically put a few different areas within your life or topics into columns within your notebook. So relationships, health, fitness, business or work, and then finances. And knowing that, number one, especially if you're in a relationship, finances is one of the biggest reasons that couples tend to have issues and challenges. And even when you think about divorce rates and stuff like that, a lot of that has to do with finances in itself. So the goal was to take a look at those different things. If your health is not good and you're not physically taking care of yourself, it's going to make it harder to be productive at work. You're not going to have as much energy for your loved ones and your family and those that depend on you the most. So you were supposed to take those columns and then basically score yourself from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. How much energy and focus do you feel that you're putting in each of those categories? So if you're not really if you know that you're not doing a really good job of keeping track of your finances and where your money is going and how you're investing and budgeting out for the month and for the quarter and those type of things, maybe you're at a 5, you know what I mean, depending again on where you're at. But that was a goal for day 3. Put those topics into those different columns and then score them from 1 to 10. Again, 10 being you're super laser focused on that specific area. And then that would give you an opportunity to say, okay, out of all of these, basically these 5 different categories, which one needs immediate attention? So whichever one is the lowest is the one that you really would like to start on and focus on from there.
Yeah. So for me, I think I shared with the group, so you guys can actually go back and reference my posts. I did an update with day 3 and day 4. Mm-hmm. But for day 3 specifically, I already knew kind of going into it how this is going to play out, because not only am I self-aware, but I get the benefit of hearing the missus' mouth about it too, because obviously she cares for me, she loves me, right? Which is really the area I need to hone my focus in on is more of the health aspect of it, and making sure that I'm being intentional about just kind of my regular annual checkups and all those good things. Obviously, I'm not getting any younger, and given my family history and also my ethnicity, I'm like a walking precondition, right? So like I just need to be that much more intentional about it. I think the thing that obviously, I've continued to tell myself, which this exercise, this challenge is helpful to challenge myself on, right? Which is just like, okay, well, time is finite, right? Like I only have so much time. So like, where am I going to, I'm putting all my energy, my effort and my focus into the business and the finance aspect of it. I got to make sure that that's on point. I'm a primary, provider, breadwinner, all that good stuff. I want to make sure that I set, me and the family up well for, generational wealth, and, making sure that, we can hit our retirement goals and all this other stuff. Right. And then the things that I'm passionate about, obviously time dedicated to this and creating and, connecting with this community, the time that I'm putting in at work, staying in shape. Obviously I played sports most of my life. So, again, picking things up and putting things down from a weights perspective is not an opportunity, but it's the going to go see the doctor stuff. So, I had to come to grips with that face to face and just be like, all right, like, you've identified it right now. Now, if I don't intentionally do something in order to correct it, then it's not even being ignorant. Like I'm making a choice. I'm making a choice to continue to fall short in this area. You know what I mean? So I got to do that work, right? So I got to do that work and kind of take the same level of organization and focus and commitment that I do to my work to that area of my life, right? Like, because when it comes to editing, or creating content, or, you get notes from me, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing work related stuff at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Like I'm up, you know what I mean? And I will make the time, I will make it important to me. So I need to have that same type of commitment when it comes to, things again, like doctor visits and, just making sure that I'm taking care of my health, making it important to me. And so that is my challenge coming out of day 3.
Yeah, I feel you. I definitely need to do the same. I do well taking care of myself, right? Trying to do my best to watch what I eat. And obviously, exercise is just consistent. I even went back, to the gym before we started this challenge just to make sure that, okay, I have that level of accountability and doing CrossFit again and that type of stuff. But I have not had to check up myself in a while. So I appreciate that reminder. For me, I know that it's the finances. There's again, we've talked about it, right? You have desires and you have goals, but if you're not writing stuff down, then it's not a real plan. It's not a real strategy. And I've been saying for a couple of months, that we need to get back to budgeting and stuff like that. So that's definitely one of the areas that I know, like you said, there's focus being given and attention being given to other areas in my life. And I know definitely a lot of time and focus has been going to these endeavors and our podcast and the things that we've been working on. And with the new job, about a month and a half into that, about a month and a half back into the gym, I can see the other areas where, as I've switched up those dynamics in my own life, okay, how, where I need to start making adjustments to level out, some of these other areas. Like relationships, with my wife and my girls and stuff like that. And just making sure that that time is provided, you know what I mean, and just appropriately given to all of these different areas. So I'm gonna have to write that down because I definitely need to set an appointment for a doctor's visit. So that was day number 3. Day number 4 had to do with, what are you passionate about? Yes, what are you passionate about? So really the task for day number 4 was to write down what is your career, and then also what are some careers that you think you could really, really be passionate about, right? And then start to kind of give some grades and some scoring to that as well. We also put a post with a Venn diagram as well that really talks about, and we've talked about this on some of our podcast episodes as well, kind of just an easy visual and a tool to be able to utilize to really help yourself determine, okay, this is what I'm doing, right? This is, I have hobbies and things that I like to do. Then there's things that I am almost expert status at, right? Things that I'm really, really competent in doing. And then the third thing is there's things that I get paid to do, right? Especially from your employer. And do all of those things necessarily match up to where in that sweet spot, you're doing work and you're able to provide for yourself and for your family, doing things that you're really, really good at, you really enjoy doing, and then either from your employer or if you're an entrepreneur and a small business owner, you're able to make money and revenue based upon those things. Devon also gave another really good visual from his notebook as well that I really loved, and how he broke that down. So what are you passionate about the most? I think for both of us, there are definitely some similarities. That's why we do what we do, and we do it together. Teaching, communicating, pouring out into other people, coaching are all things that I'm passionate about. Creating content are things that I'm very passionate about. And I feel that I have fairly high competency in, which, has led me to even make some changes from a career perspective, and definitely has let myself and led us down this path that we're on right now. So how did, with the Venn diagram that you put together for yourself, kind of what did you learn from that? Was there anything that kind of stood out to you as you were going through that process and kind of jotting those things in your notebook?
I think the thing that stood out to me most, because like I shared, I'd already gone through this activity before, just in general, right? Like you and I have had a lot of discussions, and if any of our legacy leaders have had a chance to check out the first green room conversation, where we have a discussion off mic about being asked, what is the purpose of this?
Yes.
Right. And we elaborate there, but the kind of the synopsis really is a summary at the end of the day is like, we're passionate about these things, right?
Like you and I had a lot of discussions, and if any,
sorry, my bad, bro.
You're good. No, you're good. No, you're good. No, you're good. No, I thought you were going to play it, but yeah. At the end of the day, we're passionate about these things, right? And so the thing that stood out to me, I guess, going through the exercise is more a check-in or validation, or like, are we heading in the right direction? Am I heading in the right direction in the things that I've already identified before? Right? Am I getting closer to, or am I, actively working on things that get me closer to the stuff that I'm passionate about? That also align with, kind of making sure that I meet the financial needs of my family, and I also am meeting my greater, communal, spiritual, need and calling of, am I executing on my purpose?
Yeah.
And I definitely feel that to be the case, not just based off of, how much fun we have doing these things. Like, I think it's worth noting, right? Because you called out, we're both passionate about creation and creating content. Like, I don't know to what extent our legacy leader community realizes, but like, all of the video editing, the overlays, the graphics, the marketing, the sound editing, mixing, cutting, splicing, all is done between the two of us. Like, it's 100% done between the two of us, right? We're not outsourcing that. We're not asking for somebody else to step in and cover us down. We're not using an app for it. You know what I mean? It is literally us just putting in the work and, finding the right image, finding the right overlay, finding out all of those things, right? Because we're passionate about those things. And so we know that those things are being met because we feel fulfilled, but then we get the additional validation from the feedback that we get from folks that watch the podcast or listen to the podcast or participate in the challenge. That, I don't know if you've gotten these things. I'm pretty sure over the time that we've been doing this, just people reaching out to you and saying, hey, something really resonated with them, something really connected with them. And that's further validation that we're heading in the right path. Now, I know that maybe for some of the folks that are participating in the challenge and listening, you're not in that place right now. You're not in that same place right now. And the beauty in it is that's fine, right? Like that's the whole purpose of this exercise, of this activity, is to really define those things, and to hopefully start to challenge yourself to think about, like, how do I get closer to pursuing the things that I love, that I'm passionate about, that are serving my greater purpose, and be able to do so in a way that meets my financial needs too. Because I know that that's a large driver for folks, understandably so. We got to take care of our families. We got to live, we got to eat. We have aspirations. We have things that we're trying to accomplish and do, for sure. But, I think your example is probably one of the best ones that I look at in terms of being able to do those things. When you started in the learning and development space, you weren't doing anything really with content creation, like to the extent that you're doing right now, right? You knew, hey, I could get up, I can teach people, I can connect, I understand learning concepts, and you continue to pursue that path as you found interest. And now things that you've learned along that journey have allowed you to find other areas that you can pursue that purpose, pursue your passion, and also take care of the financial needs of your family. And so I think it starts with writing those things down, understanding what your strengths are, what you're passionate about, what your purpose is. And then from there, you can start doing the work to find out, how do I get closer to actualizing that? And the last thing I'll say is, and if you need help in that process, like just as a sounding board, like that's what this community is for too. Like you can reach out to Jimmie, you can reach out to myself. I've had plenty of conversations with people about this very topic. And, how do I do what I love? And, is there a way for me to even monetize this? Yes or no? Right. Like, or is this going to just be a hobby, or is this, is it kind of stupid to even want to pursue these things? And so I love those discussions. And so we're definitely here for you guys.
Yeah. I believe Mommy Gabs is still on with us, watching. I know she put a little comment in there. But that's just another example, right? Another creative person, and somebody who has passion, providing content to her community and doing what she does as well. So for any of our folks that are in the community, again, you can check out Gabriella, Mommy Gabs. She has a YouTube channel, hundreds of videos that she has on that channel as well. I'll let you hit up the new company that she just started. But again, finding what she's passionate about and following that and like, again, with purpose, with passion, and just diligently getting after it and being consistent, which is something that, again, I appreciate about the work that she's been doing.
No, absolutely, man. It's beautiful actually to have a front row seat to it. Obviously, we've been blessed enough where she's been able to stay home, since Man came, and he's getting ready to turn 2 in January. Right. And during that time period, like, it was just important for her to find a way to, like, hey, I want to connect with other people. I want to connect with other mothers and share my experiences, because that's what she's passionate about. It wasn't even thoughts of, monetizing or anything like that. It was just like, I want to pursue my passion and be able to connect with people. And, here we are 1.5 years, almost 2 years later, and she's been able to, grow this YouTube community to over 500 plus followers and subscribers, and, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of views. And she's currently doing Vlogmas right now. And then from that, she ended up realizing her next passion, which is she loves to be, her own business owner. Right. And like, as many people that have reached out to her to ask her to endorse and to influence, for her, it's important that if she's going to put her name behind something, it's something that she can believe in and stand behind. Right. And so there's nobody that she believes in more than herself and her friend, right? And so her and her friend Alyssa started this company in Blaze & Co. It's a small business focused on accessories, and they have from my view, been wildly successful. I'm super, super proud of them, just how they figured things out. They are on constant calls with each other back and forth, right? And in their very first day of launching, I think they actually recouped their entire investment to launch the company, right? And so that's just an example of how, starting with pursuing your passion and the things that you're good at, you can eventually get to that point where you're able to also monetize and, take care of your family from that perspective.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. So find your passion, y'all. Again, that was day 4. Follow the script. Put in that work. If you're still figuring things out, and hey, I'm 43, and there's been, still this past year, and 2020 has definitely, I think for a lot of us, but for me specifically, has even helped me to put a little bit more time and attention into that, and really figuring out, okay, what is it that I truly, really love to do? And how can I make sure that I'm helping other people to improve in those areas? And leadership and the podcast, again, are just some pieces of kind of what was birthed out of those thoughts and conversations that you and I have had, Devon. So that was day number 4. Day number 5, which was yesterday, Friday. Relationships, all about relationships. And the question was, what can you do to focus more on your relationship with your spouse or your significant other, and in focusing more on that relationship, improve, right? That relationship itself, and doing the same thing, really, thinking about that relationship, kind of scoring it, and being honest with yourself and being transparent. What are some things that I know I can personally do better? And then what are some things that, from my perspective, I feel my spouse, my significant other can do better as well? And again, helping both of us to focus more on each other and improve upon that relationship. And then with gentleness, with kindness, with love, really trying to enter into that conversation, and then being able to talk through those things. But how can we focus more on our most important relationships? And then, funny enough, you and I were texting earlier today, and we both admitted to each other that we decided, hey, we need to go out and spend some time with the family. I think you went out to dinner with the family last night. I went out to dinner with my wife. And it wasn't necessarily an intentional thought, like as far as connecting it with the challenge. But I just knew how the week had gone. And I knew that, we needed some time together. You know what I mean? So that was just one day. But again, this is really about the long haul, right? And making sure that, again, you're taking consistent, intentional steps to improve upon that relationship.
100%, man, 100%. So yeah, it's funny how that just played out. But yeah, just, being able to get away from, kind of, again, this room that I've really been operating out of for several months, and just getting so caught up in, obviously, with her new ventures, obviously her time is taxed, and then with my new ventures, you got 2 creatives in the house, 2 people that are pursuing different things, and stuff that's going on at work, and then you got just homeschooling for a period of time, Jim or Geo and man, and it's just like all of that. Like, you don't really have time to just like stop, take a breather, and like let's just eat, let's just spend time, let's laugh, let's be goofy, all that good stuff, right? And so we got an opportunity to do that yesterday. So the challenge, again, like you, I didn't necessarily connect it directly to the challenge, but it definitely feeds that, and then it just continues to keep in the forefront of my mind, like, yeah, okay, how can I make sure that I'm intentional about this? Continue to be intentional about this. So
absolutely. So that was day number 5, and then today, day number 6, is same premise, but focusing on family, friends, and coworkers, right? So when we say family, not necessarily a spouse or your kids, but the extended family. So maybe cousins, uncles, aunts, maybe parents, cousins, anybody that would fall into that category, right? Like, we don't always get along. You have people in your family that maybe aggravate you and get on your nerves at times. And instead of just ignoring people, how do we say, okay, how do I focus a little bit more on this specific relationship? And again, scoring that relationship as well, or those different relationships, and seeing which one is the lowest, and then starting with that one, And I would encourage just really, pray about those conversations and focusing on those things. And then the same thing with friends and coworkers, right? You might have that person that, always comes down and says, hey, they slap something on your desk and can you handle this for me? And, I'm having some trouble right now, some issues, and like they need help, but it seems like they always need help and they're always coming to you. Probably because they know that they can count on you, you're going to get stuff done. But how do you focus on, again, those coworkers, having those conversations, maybe some really close friends that, yeah, they're your friends, but, there's certain areas, again, that you and them can focus on to improve that relationship and maybe even make that relationship closer. And then the same thing with the extended family. So that's it, y'all. That was the first 6 days of our 21-day focus challenge. We had talked about this, Devon and myself, prior to starting the challenge, and we definitely feel like how the last 6 days have gone for a number of reasons. One, I think some of these last couple of days, it takes some thought. We really want you guys to put in that work and think about those things, really be honest with your scoring, and then what actions can you take? Maybe not immediately, but start to work on some of those conversations, those relationships, thinking about what you're passionate about and putting some serious thought into that. No better time to do that as we end the year. This is December. I know it's one of the busiest times of the year, but also one of the times where we should be, again, working on focusing even more. And how do we work on those relationships and start thinking about 2021 and start setting goals for the new year? So we're going to take a break tomorrow. Tomorrow's day 7. It's Sunday, a day of rest. So we're not going to post anything in regards to the challenge. We will pick up on day 7 of the challenge on Monday. All right. So tomorrow's Sunday, day of rest, spend some time with the family, go to church, do what you do, whatever that is for yourself. But regardless, again, we're going to start back on day 7 of the challenge on Monday. And also for our new folks that have joined the community in the last couple of days, if you want to get in on a challenge, this gives you an opportunity to go back, look through some of the days, look through some of the videos and the content. Again, there is a checklist in a PDF in the file. So go to that PDF, print that out, and use that to keep track of your days. So you know where you're at. Did I complete that task? Did I did not? You could always go back. So again, this is not about perfection, y'all. This is about direction. Just being in the challenge and taking these steps are helping us go in a better, more positive direction and really helping to create that laser-like focus on the areas that are most important for us in our lives. So if you miss a day, it's all good. Try to go back. If not, as you look at the different tasks, maybe you're like, man, I know I really need to focus on that. Then put in that work and get that task done.
No, absolutely, man. Well said. Every time I hear that, kind of that phrase, it's not about perfection, it's about direction. It's just a whole nother bar. It's just a whole nother bar, man. So I love it every single time I hear it. So yeah, man, looking forward to taking a break. And then I would also say a shameless plug, take advantage of the break to maybe go back and listen to some of the Legacy and Leadership podcast episodes. We are dropping again, green room content. We will also be dropping more bonus content for you guys, including some compilation videos, some best of our MBA series, our Mentored by Adversity series, where we brought on a slew of good, guests across different industries that are leaders to hear their story about how they have overcome adversity and gotten to where they've gotten in their careers. And we'll do a bars compilation and all that stuff. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and follow us on YouTube.
Yes.
And then you can also, if you prefer to also listen to podcasts on like, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Podbean or again, your Alexa device, it doesn't matter. You pick the platform, the DSP, we are there, Legacy and Leadership Podcast. But we're going to continue to keep content coming to you guys during December, even though season 1 has ended. That means we're not going to necessarily give you the full episodes of diving into deep contents and breaking stuff down, but we have a lot of bonus material and some additional supplemental stuff that we can provide you. So please make sure that you check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working on conversation number 3, so that should be dropping tomorrow. So yeah, we're going to keep dropping these green room conversations and all of the additional content that Devon just mentioned. So yeah, use your Sunday wisely. Think about the challenge. Go back, get some things done. Think about your week and your personal things that you're looking to accomplish the week ahead of us, and how do we stay focused on the challenge of these tasks and helping to increase our level of focus as we move forward. So man, this was like another little podcast episode in itself.
Yeah, I know.
So again, I know there was a couple of people that kind of jumped in and in and out as we were going through this conversation over the last almost 40 minutes now. But again, if you watch this and watch the replay, put comments in if you have any questions. Again, you can do that in the comments or just hit Devon and myself up. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have and help you out, especially if you're new to the challenge itself and new to the community. So we thank you guys very much. Let's get this engagement going, y'all. Let's get more comments going. If you're in the challenge for our challengers, make sure that you're posting. I know some of the last couple of days have been a little bit personal, so we understand that completely. But at least let us know that, hey, I got it done. You know what I mean? That would be cool too, just to hear from you and get that feedback. So we hope everybody's well. Hope you had a great week. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. We look forward to hearing from you guys and maybe having some more live conversations soon. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. God bless and stay encouraged, people.
Take care, y'all. Good night.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
You have just listened to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, hosted by Jimmie Gonzalez and Devon Watts. Thank you, and we hope that you live, lead, and leave a legacy worth remembering. Until next time.